Okay, so we're going to do more practice. In this video, we're talking about lines, but we're talking about only writing equations of lines. So in this video, the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to give you a desired point and slope, and then you have to put the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So these are going to be the points and the slopes. And then also the other exercise that we're going to do here is that we're going to find the equation of a line through 2 points. And once again, we're going to put our answer in slope-intercept form. So we're going to have these points here. Okay, so this video specifically continues extra practice from a review video on the same topic. So if you want to check out that review video, look in the description for a link to that. And by the way, I do have a free PDF version of all of the problems that you see here with an answer key. Just go to the review section of divideandconquermath.com. It's all free. Okay, so let's get into this. So we're going to write the equation of a line through the desired point with the given slope, and our final answer needs to be in slope-intercept form. So we're going to do these 5. You can pause here if you want to try any of these out on your own, but per usual, I'm just going to plow right through these. Okay, so the way that I've talked about doing problems like this is to start by using the point slope form, which looks like this. So here is my point slope form. And so I've got a point, I've got a slope. So in the review video, I talked about just kind of entering in all that information. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. So this is going to become y minus 5 equals -4 times x minus 3. And okay, so now we're going to call this, we're going to go ahead and distribute this. So this becomes -4x plus 12. And then I can go ahead and add 5 to each side. So this is going to be y equals -4x plus 17. And now this equation is in slope-intercept form. So we start by putting it in point slope form, and then basically we solve for y to get the slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's keep going with this idea then. So I've got -2, 7, and m equals -1/2. So I will start by first putting all this information in point slope form. So this will be y minus 7 equals -1/2 times x minus -2. So the negative and the negative will turn that all into a positive. So now I need to distribute that 1/2. So this becomes -1/2 x minus 1. And then to finish solving for y, what I can do is I can add 7 to each side. So I get y equals -1/2 x plus 6. And so that will be the final answer for that one. Okay, so moving on to C now. So I've got the point -3, -2, and m equals 2. So y minus -2 is going to turn into y plus 2. And then let's see, my slope was 2. And then x minus -3 will become x plus 3. So there's everything entered in. And so now I'm going to go ahead and distribute that x to get 2x plus 6. And then I can subtract off the 2 to get y equals 2x plus 4. Okay, so now I need to write the slope of a line that has m equal to 0. So believe it or not, this is actually the exact same process, but just something funny will happen. So I can still use the point slope form. So this will be y minus 5 equals 0 times x minus 4. But what happens when I multiply 0 times anything? Well, all of this just wipes out, right? So check out what happens. This becomes y minus 5 equals 0. So since the x dropped out, that tells me that this is a different type of equation. And so then I'm just going to isolate the y so that I get y equals 5. And as we know, that will be a horizontal line. Okay, so moving on to the next one. So this is going to be y minus 5 equals -1/2 times x minus -3, which will become x plus 3. Okay, so now I'm going to take y minus 5 equals -1/2 x minus 3 over 2. So now I want to add 5 to both sides, but the thing about adding 5 to both sides is that I'm going to have to get a common denominator in this case. Or I guess I could also convert it to a decimal, but this is a great chance to review fractions, so let's just do that. So I'm going to add 5 to this side, so I'm really going to think of this as 5 over 1. And now, so that I can add -3/2 plus 5, what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this to a fraction. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom of this by 2 over 2. So what do I get? I get y equals -1/2 x minus 3/2 plus 10 over 2. And so this will be y equals -1/2 x plus 7 over 2. Okay, so before I go on to the next set of problems, if you're finding this content useful, I'd love it if you hit that like button or maybe even that subscribe button. And otherwise, let's just keep going with this. So now I have to find the equation of a line through 2 points. So here are the points. And once again, you can pause the video here if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and plow right through this. So let's start with the first set of points, 3, 4, and 7, 2. So we talked about in the review video that the first thing that you need to do is you need to figure out what is the slope between these 2 points. So I'm going to take 2 minus 4 over 7 minus 3 to get that this is negative 2 over 4, so this equals negative 1/2. So negative 1/2 is my slope. So the thing we talked about in the review video is that to determine a line, you need a slope, which we now have, and then you need a point. Now in this case, I have 2 points. So it actually doesn't matter which point I want to choose. I just have to choose whichever really looks easiest. And so I'm going to just do computations with, I guess I'll do them with 3, 4. So I'm going to go ahead now and use that point slope form. So this will become y minus 4 equals my slope of negative 1/2 times x minus 3. And from here, now I need to get this in slope-intercept form. So I can go ahead and I can distribute that negative 1/2. And then I can do a little more practice with fractions again. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. But remember that 4 is technically over a 1. And then I just want to convert this to a fraction over 2. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 2. So this whole thing becomes negative 1/2 x plus 3 over 2 plus 8 over 2. So my final answer will be negative 1/2 x plus 11 over 2. Okay, so let's keep going with that. So now I've got negative 3, 5 and negative 3, 7. So once again, let's first find the slope here. So I'm going to take 7 minus 5 over negative 3 minus negative 3. So that actually means I'm going to add that. So this becomes 2 over 0. Okay. So as we know, 2 over 0 is undefined. And so that means that we either have a horizontal or vertical line, and we have to figure out what is the equation of this. So the good news about this is actually this is a lot easier than it looks. So the thing to notice is now take a moment and look at these 2 points. Which coordinate hasn't changed? It's the x, right? So the coordinate that has not changed, that actually reveals what your equation is. Since x has not changed, the equation will be x equals negative 3, and you're done. Good to go. Okay, so let's keep going with this. So now I'm going to find the slope between negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3, 4. Okay, so I'll take 4 minus negative 2, which becomes 4 plus 2, and negative 3 minus negative 1, which becomes negative 3 plus 1. So this is going to equal 6 over negative 2. So my slope in this case will be negative 3. Cool. So now I can go ahead and choose either point that I want. Now in this case, I would rather have a point with more positive numbers, so I'm going to use negative 3, 4, but you could totally use negative 1, negative 2, and you should get the same answer. So if you didn't, then you made an algebra error. So this is going to become y minus 4 equals negative 3 times x minus negative 3, which will become x plus 3. So now I can go ahead and distribute. So this becomes y minus 4 equals negative 3x minus 9. And then I can add the 4 to both sides. So I have y equals negative 3x minus 5. Okay, so continuing on. So I've got 4, 5, and negative 3, 5. Okay, so let's find the slope then. So this will be 5 minus 5 over negative 3 minus 4. So I get 0 over negative 7. So in this case, I just get the slope of 0. So remember, 0 and undefined, those are the slopes of horizontal and vertical lines. So in examining this, I notice that now the y-coordinate has been unchanged. And since it's the y-coordinate that has been unchanged, so looking at the coordinates here, so I notice y is 5, y is 5, y is unchanged. So since it is the y that is unchanged, I'm just going to state that y equals 5, and that is the equation. Okay, so moving on to E here. This one actually is going to take a little bit more work, so I'm going to give myself some more space. Okay, so first things first, I've got to find the slope between these 2 points. So I'm going to take 2 minus 3 over 1/4 minus 1/2, so that's going to become plus 1/2. So the first thing that I have to do, and I actually did this in a different practice video too, So the first thing I have to do is I have to add these up. So I've got to get a common denominator. So 1 over 4 plus 1/2, the common denominator between those will be 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the top and bottom of this fraction by 2 over 2 so that it becomes 1/4 plus 2/4, so that this equals 3 over 4. Okay, so now I have that my slope is -1 over 3 over 4. And so now to figure out what do you do with this, you kind of need to do a little bit of a brain trick here. So this sign, we could also view it as a division sign. So I could think of this as -1 divided by 3 over 4. And I know that when I divide by a fraction, that is equivalent to multiplying by the reciprocal. So this is actually -1 times 3 over 4. So my slope in this case then will be -4 over 3. So that's my slope. So that took a little bit of work. So I'm going to go ahead and just note that over here. And let me clear some space. And so now I've got my slope and I can choose which points I want to use. So again, I'm just going to choose the more positive of the 2 points. So this will become y minus 2 equals -4 over 3 times x minus 1/4. Okay, so let's go ahead and distribute. So this becomes -4 over 3x. And then -4 over 3 times -1 over 4, that will become positive 1 over 3. So now I'm going to add the 2 over to the other side. Now remember that 2 is technically over that invisible 1. And then so that I can add these up, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this a common denominator so that this becomes y equals -4 over 3x plus 1/3 plus 6 over 3. So that means that my final answer will be -4/3 x plus 7 over 3. Okay, cool. So my review series, by the way, has many other topics in it, not just lines. So each topic has a refresher video, practice problems, answer keys, all that good stuff. It's all free at divideandconquermath.com. Just go to the review section and everything's there for free. Okay, guys, so that brings us to the end of this video. I'll talk to you next time.